This may or may not be a super unhealthy recipe for a pound cake, but I made it anyway, so let's get into it. Baking is my newest hobby, and I've decided to do a new recipe every month. Last month, I made a dessert in honor of my husband, and this month, I did one in honor of my grandmother. She just turned 91, so I was reflecting on all of my memories with her. One of my favorites is going to her house for the holidays, which I haven't been able to do. One, because the pandemic changed the way we do things, and two, I've moved to a different city. And at her age, she said she tired of doing all of that cooking, so I've been missing out on her pound cakes. So I called her up to get the recipe, and I made it myself. It started with 2 sticks of butter, which already seemed like a lot, and then half a cup of shortening. And it's like, when's the last time you ever used shortening? Then I followed that up with 3 cups of sugar. I'm still new to baking, so I didn't think much of it, but when I measured it out and had to pour it into the recipe, it felt like way too much. And I didn't want to alter the ingredients in case it messed up the taste of the cake, so I just went along with it. Next, I whisked 5 eggs and set those to the side. And I don't know about you, but whisking eggs with a fork over an actual whisk just gets the job done for me. The recipe didn't mention this step, but I sifted the flour because it seems like that's what the experts say is best. And I want to feel like a professional. So that was 3 cups of flour, and I added 1 teaspoon of baking powder and a pinch of salt. I realized my bowl was too small, so I switched that out, and then I added an egg according to the recipe, and I felt like it wasn't really giving a good mixture. It really told me to add in everything, but I thought that was going to be too much, and I thought it would be best to mix it in layers. Next, I added the butter, shortening, and sugar mix, and it was starting to mix a little bit better, but it still was a little dry. So I poured in some of the milk, which was a cup, and that's what gave me what I needed. So I continued that process of adding a little bit of everything to each step and mixing it as I went along, and I felt like it gave me a really good consistency. It's a 5-flavor pound cake, so the last step was adding in all of those. But I could only find 4 of them, which was lemon, vanilla, rum, and coconut. I went to multiple stores and could not find a butter flavor. I did a quick taste test and I was very satisfied, so now it's time to add it to the baking pan. 3 cups of flour seemed like a lot, but everything fit in the pan just fine, so it wasn't as much as I thought. I'm not sure if this does anything, but I felt the need to shake the pan and get the batter all smooth, so I did that. The directions were to bake the cake for 1.5 hours at 350 degrees, which felt kind of long, but again, I just went with it since I don't really trust myself as a baker yet. I thought it might come out too dry, but as I was cutting into it, it seemed just fine, so I think it turned out pretty well. I don't know if this is giving what it needs to give, but every time people bake stuff on this app, they love breaking it in half, so I thought I'd do the same. I finally gave it a taste test of my own, and it came out really good. It was exactly the taste of a pound cake that I was expecting. Considering the amount of sugar that I used, it wasn't overly sweet at all. And it did have a recipe for icing, but I prefer my pound cakes without it. But best of all, I was able to send some to my grandmother to taste, and she absolutely loved it. Be sure to follow along to see what I bake next month.